Stand just went straight live. My gosh. Sorry you guys about that. This thing went straight live. I thought it was giving me the opportunity to pick a thumbnail, but it just went straight live. So hopefully you can hear me. You guys should be hearing me as you come in or whatever. Just tap for me or just let me know that you can you can hear me with the microphone and all of that. So just let me know, and then we're gonna go ahead and get in on this and give you guys some very interesting updates. But just let me know first. I'm just waiting for people to get on, and then we're gonna dive right in because I do have a lot to say, and on a lot of stuff, as you know, on this platform. But lately, it's been pretty quiet on this end, and I want to explain why and give you some ideas to what's been going on. But if you're just getting in again, just put in, if you can let me know in the chat, hit a one or something like that. Let me know that you can hear me. That's what I want to make sure that you can at least hear me. And because I don't want to be sitting up here running my mouth and then only to realize that my mic isn't working. So okay, cool. All right, that's all I need to hear. So, shout out to the individual down in Cherryville, North Carolina. Cherryville, North Carolina. Good to see you. And yeah, I'm trying to get in a good position here, but whatever. Anyway, let's see. So, just giving it a moment here. Dang, this thing, I was trying to get all like in a good position and all of that. And this doggone thing, it just went straight to live. Like it didn't even give me chance. I was like, next thing I started, it was like, you're live. anyway, well, we're live. So hopefully you guys can hear me. Thank you for joining and all of that. Just gonna dive right in. As you see from the title, you know, life does throw you some curveballs, man. And you gotta make sure that you are ready to take the hit. You're ready to make that hit, man. There's no more just sitting in the crowd talking about it. You got to be at the plate and you got to be ready to hit it, man. And that's kind of in my case. That's what happened. Um, I had a lot going on even um, prior to what I'm about to tell you, but basically you get a call, got a family member, that dear family member that is in a it was a health emergency. And basically I had to pretty much drop everything I was doing and fly out and pretty much take on the role of managing and doing everything that needs to be done, just period. And everything's fine. The family members doing way better now, and I'm very grateful for that. We're all grateful for that. But at the same time, for me, there is quite a bit of things that I need to take care of, and it's going to take an enormous amount of my time and all of that stuff, which I'm more than happy to do because it's family. You know what I mean? But this just happened like suddenly. You know what I mean? It's not one of those things you could talk about it like, okay, one day this could happen, but for that one day to actually happen, it's like, oh snap, okay. And so, but yeah, again, they're doing much better now, and we're so grateful for that. And so now we're just entering into phase two, where we're dealing with the after recovery, but then you have future plannings and stuff that needs to take place, and that's where I am right now in taking care of all of that. And so it's kind of like it's partly like very exciting, on one hand, because it's really a new chapter, but it's also, I don't know, it's mixed, you know what I mean? And so yeah, that's without delving into too many details or whatever. That's kind of what's happened. And so one thing I could say is, man, I'm so grateful, in a world where people are talking about how black men and black women can't get along, and marriage is of yesteryear and all this other stuff. I can tell you, as someone who's been married now for almost um, 20, man, are we going on our 26th? No, 28th. I think it's our 28th anniversary is coming up in the next few days. Um, all I can tell you is that when you find the right one, it's so worth it. It really is. And Nicole has been nothing but a blessing, in me during this process. And she's helped out so much. And because I'm a type of person that um, I tend to try to plan as far ahead as I can. But when um, this situation took place, it was I told Nicole, I said, "Hon, I can only think maybe 2 3 days ahead right now because it's too much. It's too much right now, But she's been right there, and been a huge blessing, and so I'm very grateful for her. So, and I can't say enough good things about her and how much she's been a help and a blessing and all of that. So yeah, I'm here to tell you, regardless of what all the podcasts and stuff are saying out there, the never ending, online battles that you see between black men and black women or whatever. I'm here to tell you that good marriages do work and good marriages do last when you have the right person. And I'm very grateful for that. So, yeah. So, one thing about us, I'll say this, and if you're just joining, thank you so much. I'm just giving some updates because I haven't been live in a while. Okay, so I'm just giving people some updates. I'm sitting in the backyard of um, my mom's house right now, so I'm trying to gauge like my volume and how loud I can speak. But a lot of these people old, man, so they probably still sleep. Um but anyway, they what was it? Oh, anytime like things happen, I always that are sudden, I always try to find, okay, what are the positives? What are some things we can do? What are the good things we can get out of this situation? You know what I mean? That can definitely keep us moving forward, moving ahead. Well, as you know, that my wife and I, we have Samba Tree. That's our health and wellness business that we have at sambatree.com. And you know, it is a business that we're able to, wherever we are, we're still able to move it and operate and function and all that. And plus, we have individuals that we work with that help out and all that kind of stuff. So thankfully, we're still able to move ahead without a hitch on that. Our Samba Tree people are still well taken care of. But here's something, because we're going to get to the news in a moment. Right now, I'm just kind of giving you an update on my life and what's going on. But here is something that we are very, very excited about. Um, Man, how long ago was this? I think this was during COVID. We worked with a local health and beauty company on the East Coast, black owned, that that produced what we believe was one of the best um, hair and beauty product lines that we've ever worked with. And the quality of it was just bar none the best. I mean, it just was. When you go to the facility, you're able to see how they put things together. Um, The ingredients that they use, it's all 100%. It's all natural stuff. Um, it's just high quality, and this was something that we used to carry years ago, but they had some issues regarding shipping and some other things that prevented us to continue to carry their product. Well, times have changed, and we have gotten back in touch with them and all of that. And not only that, we are now going to start carrying those products, and we're very excited. And here's the thing, we have it physically in stock right now, like literally in stock right now. It's not listed on a website, but it will be on the website in the next couple of days because, again, I'm sorting out through the rest of my, things that are going on right now. So I got multiple things going on right now. But these products, I wish I could show you, but Nicole probably get mad at me. But when I tell you, from skincare to hair care to beard care. I was just using the beard care stuff the other day. Brothers, you gonna be, it's a whole nother level of stuff. And we got a ton of stuff that we picked up. And over the next couple of days, this is why it's going to be very important to make sure that you're checking out our website, sambatree.com. Over the next couple of days, if you're not on the email list, make sure that you're subscribed because we're going to be adding a ton of stuff to our website and we're going to be dropping it. And it's just going to be in phases because once it's gone and that wave, that's it. And then we just have to re up and be able to do it again. But we're very excited. It's a black owned company. And like I said, the quality of their product, it speaks for itself. And it's something that is a local product, and many locals know it and they trust it. Is a brand that's been around, I think, since the 90s. So we're very excited about that. So again, I won't spend too much time on that, but make sure you're on our email list over at sabatree.com because we're going to be dropping that. And we are very, very, very excited about that. We're also looking at another manufacturer that's not too far from where we are right now. So we'll see how that goes. But right now we want to focus on that. But the way it's going to work in this case, because we actually have it in stock, once you place your order, give it about a day or so, because you got to physically pack it and then you're going to get shipping. So shipping on these products are going to be extremely quick because we physically have it in stock. We're not dealing with, okay, hopefully the warehouse over there has it. Are there any delays? No, 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 no. We skipped all of that. We wanted to make sure that we physically had those products in stock so that we can do a quick ship. So make sure keep that in mind too. So again, sambatree.com. Make sure you're on the email list or keep a watch out because we're going to have an email going out very, very soon giving you the details on that. Okay? All right. So just wanted to give you that update. If you're just joining, thank you so much and welcome. I'm just giving some updates because I haven't been on, here for a minute because of various life changes, man. Life has thrown a series of curveballs for real. And um, hmm, let's see. Otherwise, mentally, I've been doing very well. Health wise, I have been going through some changes. Not bad changes, but some changes. As I'm getting older, as we're all getting older. But, you know, I noticed as I get older, my diet was changing. Meaning, or rather, I should say, my appetite started changing. There's just certain things I'm not really hungry for anymore, especially like with meat. Certain meats I just can't eat. A lot of the fast food stuff, not that I was really a fast food person before, but there's certain things that I just can't eat anymore. Like you can taste the bad quality of stuff now. That's me. Um and and other things I was doing and as a result, I lost, I would say in the last 3, 4 months, I probably lost almost 30 pounds, if not more. So you could kind of tell if you see me in other videos or pictures or whatever, I was much more bulkier, but I have lost a considerable amount of weight, and which is all good, but it's also I need to get my muscle tone back up. So that's what I'm gonna be working on next. But so yeah, so even in my body, I've been going through quite a bit of change. So I'm just getting adjusted to all that. But the appetite thing was really something to me, and but now I'm noticing my appetite is getting normal again. Like it's just really the type of foods I had that was accessible. You know what I'm saying? It's like I said again, it's like the fast food stuff I just couldn't eat. All I could eat was like fruits, vegetables, smoothies, but a lot of the other fast food stuff or whatever that's out there, it just I couldn't do it, man, and I still can't do it. But you know, I'm now finding things I can do to fill in what my body really needs, and I'm seeing it starting to change now for me. So yeah, it's really something. So, but yeah, so those are just I'm just giving you little clips of different things that what's been going on in this, and now let's get to the news. I'll just touch on that briefly. Um, I've been, with all of these different changes that have been going on in my life. Of course, I never can't stop watching the news and keeping my eye on current events and things like that. And of course, there's a ton of things that have been going on and are going to continue to go on, regardless if I or anybody else talk about them or not. But I've been keeping my eye, of course, on the Nolan story, and we'll talk about that in a moment. I'm trying to think what other stories. Also, what have black people been talking about a lot as of late, and that is some of the goings on down in Mississippi. You have numbers of black folks who are out here now believing that the South is rising again, and that white people are just coming out of the woodwork and invisible in with their cloak of invisibility and able to snatch black people at any given moment, to kidnap them, to hang them from trees. And so you got people who are running around with this belief and all of that. And there was a video, I wish I could, because I left home so quickly, some of the equipment I use to do my lives and stuff I don't have with me, but I'm trying to figure that out right now. But there was a video I would like for you to, wish I could play for you, but I don't have it. But I can kind of tell you the gist of it. It was a very short clip. And what the guy was saying was this. He said, dumb people. Now, a lot of times, if you hear that, a lot of people would get offended at that. They're like, who are you calling dumb? But he was, but you need to hear everything he was saying. He was saying the one thing about dumb people is that whatever you tell them, no matter what you tell them, they only believe what they think they are hearing from you. In other words, it's like this: you can tell a dumb person, and maybe I said that part wrong, but basically what they're saying is if I'm telling a dumb person, hey, here are the facts, here's what's really going on, this dumb person already has a narrative in their head, right? They already have an outline. The only thing they're going to hear is what matches that outline, that narrative in their head. If it doesn't match that narrative, they don't hear anything else. No matter what you tell them, the only thing they're going to hear is what's imprinted in their mind. And that's it. That's the only thing they're going to hear. And so this was something that I was constantly running into on social media, period. Of course, I'm not talking about you guys because y'all ain't dumb. Okay. Not on my channel. Okay. I'm talking about other people. Okay. We ain't talking about you. We talk about other people. But what I was constantly running into were individuals who, no matter how many facts you would give them, it's like they just would not hear it. And you spend all of this time and energy trying to explain to them, hey, listen, let's engage our brain a little bit, and let's, before we jump to those conclusions, let's think about this first. It wouldn't matter. It still was, the conclusion was, no, this is what I believe, and that's it. And so I spent years on that, right? And so when you're dealing with, and I know some of y'all may have seen that video of that teacher, which that's a whole video in of itself. I mean, I wish I could do, but again, whatever. But for the sake of time, we're gonna make this short. But this teacher who was out here literally crying, male teacher, because his junior and senior class of black students, they don't know how to read or write. And we have for years on this platform been warning our viewers, talking about what's going to happen, what we're entering into now. Years ago, I was saying that we're entering into a phase where literacy within the black community is going to start showing itself, or I should say illiteracy. And we're going to start seeing the impact of that. We were making videos and talking about this years ago. And when we talk about illiteracy or literacy, we're not talking about the ability or inability to read. It's the ability to understand what you're reading. And we're not just talking about books when we talk about literacy. We're also talking about the ability to read people, to read situations, to understand different situations as they come about. That's all part of literacy. And so being able to read, being able to write is the most basic form that of practice, if you will, to be able to understand the world around you. And so when you trivialize and say, I don't need to read that, ain't nobody trying to read all of that. When you take that approach, what you're doing is basically minimizing the the functionality, the normal functionality of your brain. We talk about the amygdala. We talk about the prefrontal cortex on this platform for a very long time. We've done a series on it. We broke it down. We talk about how each one works with each other, but they can also work against each other. We talk about all of that, and we've given many examples of that. And where your amygdala is where it handles your emotions, emotional stuff, whereas your prefrontal cortex is part of your executive center. And we talk about how social media is designed to only attract the amygdala, not your prefrontal cortex. And so we've gone through all of that for years on this platform. And so, but when you're dealing with people who only understand to react on emotion, after a while, it's just like, you know what? What's the point? Why am I going to continue to do videos on this, that, or whatever, and breakdowns on this, that, or whatever, when people still stay locked into their emotions? So I'm pretty much said, you know what? I'm just going to back off a little bit. But as it pertains to this Nolan Wells situation, because let's talk about that, okay? In this Nolan Wells situation, I have said from day one, I said, look, listen, I don't have all the information, and I'm not going to sit up here and pretend I have all the information because I don't. But what we're going to do here on this platform is that we're going to continue to sit back and we're going to wait until more of the facts come in, and then we can, have that discussion as the facts come in, and that's it. But other than that, you know, my lips are sealed on that, because there's a lot of people on social media saying a whole bunch of stuff, but it's not proven, it's not factual. We have to wait. We have to be patient, and we got to wait till things get vetted out. I've done videos over time, and if I get some time between today and tomorrow, I will link to those videos in our community page, because what people are doing now is they're making all of these memes now of black people who have been lynched, who are people are claiming were lynched over the past few years and saying, see, there's something going on. They're coming after our black people. And we have meticulously in our videos have gone through and have shown you that no, these weren't lynchings. In the vast majority of these cases, these were self deletions. And I know for some of you, that's a very hard thing to hear because you, again, in your mind, have automatically bought into certain narratives. Okay. I am not here to say that there aren't some evil people out there who are doing some bad things to black people. I'm not here to say that because that does happen. But the overwhelming majority of these cases, that is not the case at all. And we were able to calmly and meticulously lay it all out for you. But like I said, unfortunately, you're dealing with a tidal wave of individuals who don't want to hear those facts. They don't because they have been programmed to operate on amygdala only, right? Um, the the latest story that came out, the young lady who was found unfortunately hung. Well, everybody immediately was assuming that, you know, this is another one where the Klan has come in and did all this stuff, right? But it turns out that she prior that same night she had a deep argument with her boyfriend, and it's still unclear if he's a suspect or not, but he's definitely right in that they're keeping their eyes on him. I'll just put it that way. Investigators are definitely keeping their eyes on him. They're still trying to figure out how this happened and all of that. And listen, let me just say this, and then I'm gonna go to the Nolan Ryan, wow, Nolan Wiley stuff. Let me just say this. For those of you who follow this platform, you know that I absolutely love Black American history. I love African history. These are my two favorite subjects. And these are topics that I have spent years talking about, studying, dissecting, and I'm still a student. I'm still learning. I'm not an expert. But one thing about me is that due to history, due to the system that we're in, I understand that there are all types of forces out there that are out there to distort, to steal, to take away our history. And so, history to me, black history, is extremely important to me. This is why I get very angry when I hear people making up all kind of nonsense about we was this, we was that, we were the first this and that or whatever, and they are doing this just making things up. I'm not. I don't like that. No, I'm a type of person. We got to look at the details. Let's look at the facts, right? And that's how I've carried myself for years on this stuff. So when it comes to our history, I treat it with I tried it my utmost to treat it with great care and pride. You know what I'm saying? And why am I saying that? I'm saying that because when I do talk about these latest stories, when it comes to these individuals who are found hanging in trees and all that, it's coming from a place where I understand the historical context and how when people hear these stories, it's easy for them to make that connection, right? But at the same time, I'm also a person that wants to base everything on facts and truth, right? So I understand when we talk about these things, I'm not just jumping to any conclusions, looking at everything. And that's what I always try to do, right? So anyway, getting back to this. So in the case of Nolan Wiley, as I said earlier, I told you guys, y'all need to wait till the facts start coming out. And I'm telling you right now, when the facts start coming out, it's going to be a whole different story. Well, here's some of the latest things that I'm finding out. Okay. Number one, do you remember how the mother was persistently and other people were coming out and saying that, making a big deal about Nolan's phone and how his phone was basically these white kids basically start deleting things off of his phone and all of that? Well, come to find out from what we're hearing is that that wasn't the case at all. In fact, what I'm hearing is that that phone was never turned over to authorities. In other words, the mother had the phone the whole time. the whole time. Now, I wish I can, if I had my stuff, I can show things on the screen while I'm talking. But what I want you guys to do in lieu of that, I want you to be the investigator here and I want you to verify what I am saying because once you do these things yourself, it will stay in your mind and you'll see it for yourself. So you're not just listening to someone just talking, spouting off things. I want you, for those of you who are not old enough, I want you to look up the story of um, Al Sharpton and Tawanda Brawley. Tawanda, Tawanda, Tawanda Brawley. Okay. Al Sharpton, Tawanda Brawley. And then she had an attorney that she was working with. I don't know his name, but between Al Sharpton and the attorney for Tawanda Brawley, and for those of you who don't know who Tawanda Brawley was, many, many, many years ago, I believe this was like in Brooklyn, and this took place in the 80s. Some of you guys are old enough and you remember this. She claimed that she was raped by several white New York police officers who basically not only raped her, but stripped her, threw her in the garbage can, and took some feces and wrote some racial words across her chest. That's what her claim was. And so Al Sharpton got involved in that along with other civil rights leaders and stuff like that. It became a very huge story. All right. Very huge story. And she had an attorney. And the one thing that both Al Sharpton and the attorney told Tawanda Brawley was to not cooperate with the police. Their strategy for this was they wanted to, they were trying to make the case that they would kept telling black folks, you can't trust the police, so we're not going to tell them anything. So if they ask any questions, don't tell them anything. That was the strategy. I beg of you to look it up. It's documented and it's verified. And so, but unfortunately, once the investigators were able to do their job, because again, now you're working with someone who's making all these claims saying that what these white officers did to them, but at the same time, they kept going to the public and saying, we want more information, and they're not doing their job. The police, we just want the truth. We want answers, and they're not doing their job. Well, that's the same thing that's happening today, isn't it? And so they kept saying this over and over again, kept getting black people all riled up and everything and all of this stuff. And but at the same time, they were not fully cooperating with the authorities. And so anyway, long story short, it comes out that Tawanda Brawley was 1,000% lying. She made the whole thing up. And so now what we're finding out, fast forward today, you have the same players, Al Sharpton. This time you have Crump, who Ben Crump is involved in this. And now we're finding out that this phone that people made a big deal about, saying that these white kids basically went in and started taking things off of it. Well, come to find out, they really didn't have anything. In fact, the mother had the phone. And for what we understand, and when that information came out, the next day she switched attorneys. Now, Ben Crump is still working with them, but on the local level, they immediately came out with another attorney because now they got to figure that out. How do you now, reword your messaging? So thank you. See, that's what I'm talking about. Y'all be getting in there. I told you, look it up. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so that was the Tawana. Okay, so that was that. Here's another thing that came out. Um, the attorney, the whole thing with the audio. You remember it was these two, well, it was really one woman, black woman, who said she's an audio engineer. She graduated from Full Sails University, and she knows how to, um, um, bring up audio and all this other stuff, and we and make it clear so you can hear exactly what she's saying. What she was really doing was basically um, corrupting the listener by listing out, because the audio was so garbled. It's very difficult for the average listener to hear what's being said. So what she did was took the initiative and wrote out her own outline of what she believed what was being said, and people ran with that. But she is not a professional in that specific field. When you're dealing with trying to work with audio, there is special licensing for that. Just because you may be an audio engineer, it doesn't automatically mean that you're qualified for that. And she put out an audio that was making this claim that, that made it sound like these white boys basically were trying to figure out what to do with the body, and they were panicking and all that other stuff. Well, what's happened since then is that these boys got an attorney, and basically the audio has been shut down. And Nancy Grace, CNN, people were so excited that she's on the case. And I'm sitting up here watching black folks calling her auntie, and they were just saying that auntie's on the case. She's telling the truth about this, and she's playing the audio now, so you can't hide it now, and all this stuff. Not realizing that Nancy Grace is the absolute worst person that you want to reference to anything. There was another case that Nancy Grace, she blew way out of proportion, and she got 1,000% wrong. The Duke lacrosse case. Look it up. Do a search for the Duke lacrosse case. Um, the young lady that was involved in that, the black young lady, her last name was Maxim. Just look up Duke lacrosse case. That's all you got to do. Just look that up. She made the claim that she too was raped by a group of um, white lacrosse players. She was hired, she said, to come and dance at at their facility or whatever. She was an exotic dancer, and her claim was she was raped by these guys. Well, fast forward, she lied. She lied. And I've already talked about that story as well. In fact, I have a video on that I did not too long ago, and took you through the whole case. She even came out and acknowledged that she 1,000% lied, but the damage had long been done. And so, once again, these are stories that I'm giving you, and I'm showing you. What I've tried to do on this platform is to show you precedent of what happens when you, as an individual, do not take the time to investigate, to ask questions, to wait. Because when you don't do that, you find yourself caught in a whole whirlwind of stuff. We understand when we look past in our history that these things did in fact happen. You did have situations where young black men and black women were raped and lynched and stuff by white people. You Those things did happen. But folks, listen, what I am begging you is that we have to start being honest, because that is not the number one threat to black people right now. We've talked about what the goings on in Mississippi, specifically Jackson, Mississippi. In Jackson, Mississippi, they just had to fire their mayor for some corruption. In Jackson, Mississippi, within the last couple of years, I believe it's been, I had the exact number, I don't have it right now, but it's been an enormous amount of homicides that have taken place over the past couple of years involving black individuals exclusively. Jackson, Mississippi is a city that is predominantly ran by black folks. You have black government, you have black police force, the teachers are black, you have Jackson State University, and there's real crime that takes place there all the time, just like any other city, across the country. But it is abnormally higher, and unfortunately those stories don't even make it to the light of day in these black spaces on social media. But the moment we hear something that fits a particular narrative in our heads, we immediately build upon that and we allow the system to boost up our brains and literally push us into arenas and mentally where it's not good for us mentally. And what we try to do here, what I've tried to do for years here, is to get people to think, process, to wait until the facts come out. And so we're witnessing right now this Nolan um, Wiley story. It's literally dismantling right before our eyes. The claims, I should say. One of the things I did, uh, the link you have to check. In the last go back like the last 3 months, I did a video. Excuse me, and I've also did post on this too, where I showed you in detail who are the top influencers, what groups are the top influencers on social media. And the two top groups are black women, black liberal women, and gay men. These are the two top groups that are considered the most influential on social media by far out of all groups. And I have, and so in this particular case here with the Nolan Wiley case, with the audio, the woman who's the so-called audio engineer, she's a lesbian, and she was able to use whatever she has to be able to influence people all across social media and spread this. And when you start looking at these different individuals who are spreading a lot of these lies, not just about this story, but it's many other stories we can talk about too. A lot of these people fall within those two groups. We've talked about that. What we call black culture is a very dysfunctional culture at this point. It is. That is not to say all black people are dysfunctional. That is not what I'm saying, and that is not what I'm claiming. But what I am saying is what we call black culture is at a toxic level right now. And there is no way any sane person should feel obligated to shoulder it. Do you understand what I'm saying? In other words, what I mean is this: black culture, the motto, I would say, if there ever is, if we can say what is the motto, MOTTO of black culture is, I'm rooting for everyone black. What I'm saying to you is you cannot think that way because many of these people who look like you got some serious problems, and you cannot afford to put your energy out and feel like you got to support people that got mental issues. You can't do it just because they're black and feel like you obligated to do that. You can't do it. You cannot do that because you yourself will go insane. And that's why I'm saying with social media, as black folks, particularly people of a certain age, right, of our age group, we have to do whatever we can at this stage in our lives to protect our sanity. We do. We have to do that. And when you do that, someone said something that was really powerful too, is when you pursue the truth. What was it? I'm going to post it. I'll post it on a community page. But it said something that you got two groups of people out there, and I'm just paraphrasing this quote now. You got people who their mindset is basically a mindset that's just geared towards the illusions. Then you got other people whose mindset is only geared towards truth. And those whose mindset is geared towards truth, you're going to find that that path is going to be a very lonely path. It is. You're not going to have a lot of followers. You're not going to have too many friends. And heck, there's going to even be family members that will cut you off. But I am begging you to be a pursuer of truth. It's not easy. It's very difficult. It's challenging. But what I am saying to you is that you cannot have life any other way. Some people love living within the theater of their own imagination. They love the entertainment that their own imagination can give. Others have realized that it's time to walk out of the theater and begin to start walking in truth. And I'm saying I'm telling you, there are going to be a lot more stories that are going to come out that are designed to keep black people, particularly in this never ending cycle of begging and asking and pleading, and that's it. The system is designed to do exactly what it's designed to do. Black people are not, according to the system, according to this system, and I'm going to leave off with this. According to this system, black people are not a broken people. Black people are functioning exactly how this system wants us to function. They want us to stay, there's always this pursuit to keep black people thinking in groupthink. There's always this pursuit because think of the slave ship. You know how in the slave ship, in the bottom of the slave ship, that had everyone chained together? We are in 2026 and you still have people living in the slave ship where we're all chained together because we believe that's how we're supposed to live, that we're supposed to all be chained together. What I'm saying to you is that is not life. You don't have to live that way. You don't. And some of those people are going to have to be, when you begin to free your mind, it's like loosening the shackle off of your chain. And I'm going to be as real and as raw with you as possible. There are some of those people are going to have to go down with the ship. They're going to have to because you can't afford to be trying to swim in and go deeper and trying to rescue everybody and you're trying to unshackle everybody. You can't afford to do that. I spent years trying to do that myself. I can't do it anymore. I don't have that. I can't. I can't. Some people are going to have to drown. They are. And it's hard to say that, but it's true. Some people want to stay ignorant. Some people want to stay willingly ignorant. You have to let them be. They're going to have to go down with the ship. So I want you to have that mentally in your mind. You are not, as an individual, you are not obligated to rescue everybody on the slave ship. You're not allowed, you're not obligated to do that. You're not. All you can do is first and foremost take care of yourself. You know, when you're on a plane, when I was on a plane out here, you know what they said, and this is coming to my mind right now. You know how they go through the whole, pre-flight stuff, and they tell you if the plane is in trouble, what happens is they said that oxygen stuff comes down. Do you remember what they tell you? They said before you take care of anybody else, make sure you put the mask on yourself. Because if you don't put the mask on yourself, you ain't going to be able to help anybody else. You got to put that mask on yourself. And what black culture has done is taught us that we got to help everybody else. And then we going, because we all go up. No, you got to focus on putting that mask on yourself, getting the oxygen, getting the nutrients, getting the things that you need. Focus on you first, getting your mind right. And part of my personal therapy has been cutting off a lot of the stuff I've been taking, social media, whatever it may be, cutting off, people, individuals, whatever. It's not going to be an overnight process. It takes time, but just know um, you're going to see a lot more of these activities going on to keep black people in this never ending cycle of begging and pleading and all of that. We just need the white man to do this and he needs to give us our reparations check and all of that. Mm-mm. No, no. That's part of the cycle. They want you to stay dependent and reliant on the system. It's time to be free. It's time to free your mind. Um, a long time ago, I did a video talking about Tavistock. Tavistock. You can look up the Tavistock Institute. They're one of many institutions, and their focus since the early 1900s has always been social engineering. There are many social engineering organizations out there. Their focus is to keep people constantly thinking in certain patterns. This ain't conspiracy. This is, you can look these things up. Anything I say, I challenge, I beg people to look it up. And what I'm telling you is these things have never stopped being in operation. Know that this system, for real, when you look at how black people, where we are as a people, we are exactly where we're supposed to be according to the system. According to the system, that is. But you don't have to be a part of the system that way. You can free yourself. So all of these stories that you're hearing, regardless if it's Nolan Wiles, if it's whatever it is, oh my God, they're lynching everybody and all this other stuff. What all I would say is this: make sure you take the time to investigate stuff on your own. You know what I mean? Just do it. Back away. Protect your peace. Protect your peace. One of the things we deal with, a lot of us as black folks, there's high blood pressure. It's a huge thing. These things aren't, and why do you think they keep feeding these stories? They keep feeding these stories because is it helping your blood pressure? No. So they're going to continue to feed stories in your timeline that is going to make your blood pressure go up. You ever thought of that? If the system even had any kind of care for you, why would they keep feeding you negative stuff in your timeline? They keep giving you negative stories. Oh my God, here comes Jim Crow. Oh my God, here comes the KKK. Oh my God, here it comes. And so they're targeting a very specific demographic. I want you to understand this. Who's the demographic that is dealing with the most when it comes to high blood pressure? That over 40 crowd, black folks. So this is why you keep feeding them the ghost of KKK, the ghost of Jim Crow. Why? Because this specific demographic has more of a connection to that part of our history. Do you understand what I'm saying? In other words, when you start going 50, I would say more 60 years old and higher, they grew up in, many of them grew up in Jim Crow South. So if you keep bringing up the KKK, you keep bringing up Jim Crow, they're like, oh, snap. I remember growing up and seeing that stuff because they're targeting this particular group to keep your high blood pressure up. That's why they keep feeding that in the timeline to keep this particular group, especially in a constant state where your blood pressure is all the way up and you're living in fear. But don't worry, we got a whole bevy of black doctors out there that's going to help us by giving us high blood pressure medication. And then this message has been brought to you by whatever, whatever pharmaceutical company. You see how all that works? You see how that works? It's all connected. So so I'm done. I'm looking at my time, but I just want to come on here just to give you guys an update. And, life is throwing us a series of curveballs, but we're going to hit them. And I'm aiming for a home run every time. And my family member is doing definitely, definitely better. And I'm so glad of that. And now I'm in a phase right now where I am having to take on a lot more different things and all of that. So, for me, it's a daily thing right now. We're just playing it by ear, day by day. But fortunately, I am surrounded by my culture, my family members who are out here, who are around me, and they're doing everything. And it's a beautiful thing to have people around you that are right there, and we're all working together. And I'm very happy, So you may not be seeing me, you know, as much probably over the next few weeks or so. Nicole and I will do a video soon for Samba Tree. Um, but on this platform, I don't necessarily feel like I got to comment on everything. I just don't feel like it's. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired, man. I said, man, all these videos we've done, man, these people can go back and watch them because I've been saying this for years. I don't know everything, but I've been trying to help people with it. And so there's going to be a lot more stories coming out, you guys, and they're all designed to keep you locked in the system. And what I'm saying is begin to use the brain that you've been used with, that you've been born with, and we're here to help you. That we can help you with. So we can if I have to reduce the amount of videos I put out and just do videos like this every now and then so be it. So be it. So anyway, that's it. I really appreciate each and every one of you. For those of you who tuned in, really appreciate each and every one of you. My one sister on here who's been on here, Mrs. G, your favorite auntie. I like that name. I really appreciate your I got to go back and read your stuff because your comments come up and they disappear on this phone. But really appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you so much as always. Leave a comment if you have or not. Don't care, but just know that I do care and I care about you to tell you the truth and to keep it as real as possible. So that's it. Take care, you guys. I got to get started with my day because I got a full day ahead of me. You guys take care and love from me and my beautiful wife. All right. Take care. Talk to you again soon.